The arrival. The crystalline spires of New Alexandria glittered like frozen fire under the triple suns of the Veer system. General Victor Rasmussen stood at the viewport of his transport ship, watching as the galactic capital grew larger with each passing moment. His reflection in the reinforced glass showed a weathered face, lines carved deep by years of training and preparation for this very moment. Behind him, in the specially modified cargo hold, came the low, rumbling growls of his companions, Earth's true apex predators. "Landing sequence initiated," announced the ship's AI. "Please secure all biological cargo." Victor almost smiled at that. His bears were far more than mere cargo, but he understood the AI's protocol-driven concern. He made his way to the cargo hold, his boots echoing against the metal floor. The hold had been converted into a climate-controlled habitat, complete with separate sections for each of his 4 warriors. As he entered, 4 pairs of eyes turned to him with an intelligence that would have shocked most humans, let alone the aliens who dismissed Earth's wildlife as primitive. These weren't ordinary bears, they represented decades of careful breeding, training, and a deep bond that transcended the usual handler-animal relationship. "Easy now," he murmured, approaching the first enclosure. Inside, Arctic, his massive polar bear, rose to his full height of 12 feet. The bear's white coat gleamed under the lights, each hair embedded with specialized thermal regulators that would allow him to fight in any climate. But it was his eyes that truly set him apart, ice blue and filled with an almost human-like awareness. Next came Thunder, the grizzly, his brown fur rippling with muscle. Unlike Arctic's calculated patience, Thunder embodied raw power. His claws, naturally harder than steel due to a rare genetic mutation, could tear through battleship plating. In the third enclosure lounged Titan, the Kodiak bear, largest of them all. His size was extraordinary even for his species, and his roar could shatter bones. But it was his tactical intelligence that made him truly special. Victor had seen him use complex problem-solving skills that rivaled military strategists. Finally, there was Shadow, the black bear. Smallest of the 4 but by far the most cunning. While the others represented pure power, Shadow was their infiltrator, capable of moving with impossible silence despite his massive size. His dark eyes tracked Victor's movement with an eeriness that had unnerved even veteran animal handlers back on Earth. "We're about to make history, boys," Victor said, checking their specialized harnesses. Each bore the emblem of the Earth Defense Force, a globe wrapped in protective claws. "They think we're here as a joke, but they don't understand what Earth's evolution really means." The ship shuddered as it entered New Alexandria's atmosphere. Through the hold's small window, Victor could see the massive arena where the galactic predator competition would take place. The structure was a testament to alien engineering, its walls made of living metal that could reconfigure itself to create different battle environments. General Rasmussen, the ship's AI interrupted, "The welcoming committee is expressing concerns about your entries." Victor checked his neural tablet, reading the incoming messages with amusement. The alien officials were practically tripping over themselves trying to find regulations that would disqualify his bears. But he'd studied the rulebook thoroughly. There was nothing that specifically banned Earth predators, mainly because no one had ever considered them worth banning. The ship touched down with a gentle thud. Victor could hear the chaos outside, the mixed reactions of various alien species as they learned that Earth had actually sent competitors this year. He began the process of preparing his team for disembarkation, each movement practiced and precise. "Remember your training," he told them, though he knew they understood far more than any alien would believe possible. "Arctic, your point. Thunder, watch our 6. Titan, Shadow, flanking positions." The bears moved into formation with military precision. This wasn't just training, it was the result of a secret program that had begun shortly after humanity's first contact with alien life. While other nations had rushed to copy alien technology, a small group within the Earth Defense Force had recognized the untapped potential in Earth's own evolutionary champions. The cargo bay door began to lower, revealing the gleaming arena complex. Alien spectators of all shapes and sizes crowded the arrival area, many holding devices that Victor recognized as recording equipment. The bear's first public appearance would be broadcast across the galaxy. A tall, willowy alien with iridescent skin stepped forward, holding what appeared to be official documentation. General Rasmussen, it said, its translator converting complex harmonic tones into English, I am Chief Administrator Zex Lee. There seems to be some confusion about your entries. Victor held out his own documentation, certified by both Earth authorities and galactic regulatory bodies. No confusion, Administrator. Everything is in order. Zexley's multifaceted eyes flickered rapidly, a sign of distress in their species. These are unmodified creatures. No genetic enhancements. No neural implants. No cybernetic augmentations. Completely natural, Victor confirmed, unable to hide a small smile. Pure Earth evolution. The crowd's translator devices must have been working overtime because a wave of laughter rippled through the gathering. Victor heard snippets of conversations in various languages, all dismissive, all underestimating what stood before them. The Creation Empire's entry this year is a silicon-based predator that can reach temperatures hot enough to melt tungsten, one alien whispered to another. The Hive Collective has engineered a swarm beast that can disassemble and reassemble itself at will, added another. Victor let them talk. He'd seen the competition roster, studied each entry carefully. Yes, they were impressive examples of genetic engineering and technological advancement. But they'd never faced anything like his bears, creatures shaped by millions of years of evolution on one of the most competitive planets in the galaxy. As they moved through the crowd toward the competitors' quarters, Victor noticed how the other aliens kept their distance. Not out of fear, they were too confident for that, but out of disdain. Earth was seen as a backwater, barely worth noting in galactic affairs. These bears, impressive as they might look to human eyes, were considered little more than pets by the gathered species. That would change soon enough. Arctic let out a low growl as they passed the holding area for the other competitors. Through reinforced containment fields, Victor could see the results of advanced genetic engineering, creatures that defied natural law, monstrosities created in laboratories. Some were beautiful in their terrible way, others simply terrible. But his bears remained calm, their training holding firm. They'd been prepared for this, exposed to holograms and scents of alien creatures until nothing could shake their focus. Each bear wore specialized armor that covered vital areas while leaving their natural weapons, claws and teeth, free to work. As they were shown to their assigned quarters, Victor caught sight of Emperor Jordak himself, watching from a private observation deck. The Emperor's expression was unreadable behind his ceremonial mask, but his posture suggested curiosity. Good. They needed his attention. Because this competition was about more than just proving Earth's worth. Hidden beneath the spectacle and showmanship lay a deeper purpose, one that only a handful of people back on Earth knew about. Victory here wouldn't just be about pride, it would be about survival. As night fell over New Alexandria, Victor sat with his bears in their spacious quarters, reviewing battle strategies on his neural tablet. Tomorrow would begin the preliminary rounds, where half the competitors would be eliminated. The aliens expected Earth to fall first. They had no idea what was coming. Arctic approached, pressing his massive head against Victor's shoulder, a gesture of solidarity they'd shared countless times during training. The other bears moved closer too, forming a circle around their handler. In the artificial light of an alien world, they were Earth's champions, carrying the hopes of humanity on their powerful shoulders. Tomorrow, Victor told them, we show the galaxy what Earth is really capable of. The bears' quiet growls of acknowledgement echoed through the room. Outside, the alien city pulsed with life and energy, unaware that history was about to change forever. The war bears had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. First blood. Dawn broke over New Alexandria in a cascade of purple and crimson as the system's 3 suns rose in rapid succession. Victor stood in the preparation chamber, carefully checking each bear's armor one final time. The preliminary rounds would begin in less than an hour, and already he could hear the roar of the crowd filtering through the arena's thick walls. "The format has been changed," announced a scratchy voice behind him. Victor turned to find Administrator Zex Lee, looking even more agitated than yesterday. "Due to unusual circumstances, the Emperor has ordered all Earth competitors to participate in the first round simultaneously." Victor's eyes narrowed. This was a deviation from the traditional tournament structure, where competitors faced challenges one at a time. All 4 bears at once? Yes, Zexley's translucent skin flickered with what might have been satisfaction. Against the Hive Collective's entry. The Emperor believes this will expedite matters. The implied insult was clear: they wanted to eliminate Earth's embarrassing entries quickly and move on to the real competition. Victor maintained his composed expression, but internally, his mind raced. The Hive Collective's swarm beast was supposed to be one of the final competitors. Putting it in the first round against all 4 bears was either an attempt to humiliate Earth spectacularly or someone was afraid. "We accept," Victor said simply, watching Zexley's expression shift to surprise. The administrator had clearly expected protests or withdrawal. As Zexley hurried away, Victor turned back to his bears. "Change of plans," he told them softly. "Remember Formation Delta. Shadow, you're going to be key here." The black bear's eyes glinted with understanding. Of all the bears, Shadow had shown an almost supernatural ability to grasp complex strategies. The others watched intently as Victor quickly outlined their modified approach. The arena was packed when they emerged. Tens of thousands of alien spectators filled the stands, their varied forms creating a living tapestry of colors and shapes. The arena floor had been configured into a massive circular pit, nearly half a kilometer in diameter, with walls that rose 50 meters high. Various terrain features dotted the battlefield: artificial rock formations, shallow pools of liquid that might or might not be water, and scattered vegetation that seemed to pulse with its own life. The arena's living metal had outdone itself, creating an environment that would challenge any competitor. On the opposite side of the arena, a massive containment field held what appeared to be a writhing mass of metallic insects, each the size of a small car. The Hive Collective's swarm beast was actually thousands of individual units that could function independently or combine into larger forms. Its victories in previous tournaments were legendary. Emperor Jordak's voice boomed across the arena, enhanced by technology that made it comprehensible to all species present. "Let the preliminary round begin. May the strongest survive." The containment fields dropped. Immediately, the swarm beast burst forth, its components spreading out in a glittering cloud that blotted out the artificial sky. The crowd roared in appreciation. This was the kind of spectacle they had come to see. Victor unclipped his bear's leashes. "Execute," he said quietly. What happened next would be talked about in the galactic capital for years to come. Instead of charging forward or attempting to flee, the bears moved with precise coordination that shocked the audience into silence. Arctic and Thunder took forward positions, their massive forms serving as anchor points. Titan moved to the center, his huge body becoming the core of their formation. Shadow seemed to simply vanish, a feat that should have been impossible for a creature his size. The swarm beast attacked, its components raining down like metallic hail. But instead of finding easy prey, the swarm encountered something unprecedented: strategy. Arctic's specialized armor began emanating a cold field that instantly froze any swarm components that came too close. Thunder's electromagnetic fur, a natural adaptation that humans had only enhanced, created disruption fields that scattered the swarm's coordination. Titan, meanwhile, used his massive bulk and surprising speed to swat whole sections of the swarm out of the air. But it was Shadow who turned the tide. While the other bears held the swarm's attention, the black bear had somehow scaled the arena wall, using routes that seemed impossible for his bulk. From above, he located what Victor had suspected must exist: the swarm's queen component, the the central processor that coordinated the entire entity. The crowd gasped as Shadow dropped from an impossible height, his dark form barely visible until the last moment. The Queen component, hidden within a protective formation of drone units, never saw him coming. Shadow's advanced neural interface, the only technological enhancement the bears carried, allowed him to identify and target the Queen's vital systems with surgical precision. The battle lasted less than 10 minutes. When it was over, the arena floor was littered with inactive swarm components, their metallic forms scattered like fallen leaves. Shadow stood over the destroyed Queen unit, while the other bears maintained their defensive formation, ready for any surprise attack. The silence in the arena was absolute. Victor calmly walked out to his bears, checking each one for injuries. Finding none, he reattached their leashes and led them toward the competitor's exit. As they walked, he could feel the weight of thousands of alien eyes upon them. The message had been sent, Earth was not to be underestimated. In his private box, Emperor Jordak leaned forward, his masked face unreadable. Beside him, a hooded figure spoke in low tones. Perhaps, the figure said, we were right to be concerned. The Emperor nodded slowly. These bears, they're more than simple animals. The way they moved, the coordination, the strategy. He turned to his companion. Increase surveillance on the Earth delegation. I want to know everything about this program of theirs. Meanwhile, in the competitor's ready room, other alien handlers watched replay footage of the battle with growing concern. The Creation Empire's representative, a towering being of living crystal, approached Victor. Your creatures, it said, its crystalline form vibrating to create speech, they are not what they appear to be. Victor met its faceted gaze steadily. They are exactly what they appear to be, Earth's apex predators. No, the crystalline being insisted. They are weapons. The question is, weapons for what? Before Victor could respond, an alarm blared through the complex. On the monitors, emergency signals flashed. Something was happening in the orbital stations above New Alexandria. Victor felt a familiar tension in his shoulders. The tournament was just the beginning, events were moving faster than expected. He reached for his neural tablet, sending a prearranged signal back to Earth Command. Phase 1 was complete. Phase 2 was about to begin. The bears sensed his change in posture and moved closer, their bodies naturally forming a defensive perimeter around him. Through the ready room's windows, Victor could see ships dropping out of hyperspace above the city, ships that didn't match any known alien design. In the chaos that followed, no one noticed Shadow slipping away from the group, his dark form blending impossibly with the shadows. The Black Bear had his own mission now, one that had been planned for months. The real competition was just beginning, and the stakes were far higher than any gladiatorial spectacle. As alien spectators began to panic and security forces scrambled to respond to the unexpected arrival of unknown ships, Victor allowed himself a grim smile. Everything was proceeding according to plan. The rising storm. Chaos erupted across New Alexandria as the unknown ships maintained their position in high orbit. Emergency force fields snapped into place over the arena complex, their purple-tinted energy casting strange shadows across the gathered crowds. Victor stood in a competitor's ready room, watching the scene unfold while his bears maintained their protective formation around him. All competitors are to remain in their designated areas, announced the facility's AI in over 50 different languages. This is not part of the scheduled entertainment. Victor's neural tablet vibrated with an encrypted message, Phase 2 initiated. Shadow in position. Awaiting signal. The crystalline being from the Creation Empire stood nearby, its faceted surface reflecting the emergency lights in kaleidoscopic patterns. Those ships, it said, its vibrating voice carrying an undertone of accusation, they're of Earth origin, aren't they? Before Victor could respond, Emperor Jordak's personal guard burst into the ready room. The elite soldiers, each wearing armor that seemed to bend light around them, moved with practiced precision to secure the area. Behind them came Administrator Zex Lee, looking more agitated than ever. "General Rasmussen," Zexley announced, skin flickering rapidly, "the Emperor requests your immediate presence." Victor nodded calmly. "My bears come with me." "That is not dash," Zexley began, but stopped at a signal from the guard captain. The Emperor had apparently anticipated this condition. As they were escorted through the facility's secure corridors, Victor noticed subtle changes in the environment. The living metal walls seemed more alert, their patterns shifting faster than normal. Security drones disguised as decorative ornamentation tracked their movement. Everything was on high alert. They found Emperor Jordak in his private observation chamber, standing before a massive window that overlooked both the arena below and the ships above. The hooded figure from earlier was still present, along with several other beings that Victor recognized from intelligence briefings as members of the Galactic Security Council. "General Rasmussen," Jordak said without turning, "I believe you owe us an explanation." "About the ships?" Victor asked innocently, knowing full well that wasn't the Emperor's primary concern. "About these," Jordak turned, gesturing to a holographic display that had sprung to life in the center of the room. It showed detailed scans of Victor's bears, scans that should have been impossible given the specialized armor they wore. The scans revealed what Victor and his team had worked so hard to conceal. Beneath the bear's natural muscle and bone structure were patterns of energy that defied conventional physics. Their brains showed activity that went far beyond normal animal consciousness. "Fascinating, isn't it?" Victor said, dropping all pretense of innocence. Earth's apex predators, evolved over millions of years in one of the most competitive environments in the galaxy. "But that's not what concerns you, is it? You're more worried about what we discovered while studying them." The hooded figure stepped forward, lowering its hood to reveal a face that seemed to shift between different alien species, a shifter, one of the rarest and most ancient races in the galaxy. "The bears," it said in a voice that echoed oddly, "they're natural conduits." Victor smiled. "We prefer the term resonance amplifiers. Earth's scientists discovered it by accident. Something about the neural structure of our large predators, particularly bears, allows them to naturally interact with certain, fundamental forces. Forces that the precursors used to build their empire," the shifter said. "Forces that we've spent millennia trying to understand and control. Forces that Earth's animals evolved alongside naturally," Victor added. "We didn't need to understand them. We didn't need to control them. We just needed to recognize them." The Emperor's mask tilted slightly. "The tournament was never your real goal." "The tournament was a way in," Victor confirmed. "We needed to get close enough to confirm our theories about the arena itself. This facility, the pride of your empire, built on the ruins of a precursor installation." Alarm flashed across Zexley's translucent features. "How could you possibly know that?" "Because," Victor said, "Shadow isn't just tracking energy signatures. He's communicating with the installation's original systems. Systems that recognize him as authorized user because his neural patterns match those of the precursor's engineered creatures." As if on cue, the living metal walls of the chamber began to pulse with new patterns. The holographic displays flickered, ancient symbols bleeding through the modern interfaces. "That's impossible," one of the council members declared. "The precursor systems are dead, their networks destroyed millennia ago." "Not destroyed," Victor corrected. "Dormant. Waiting for the right key." He turned to his bears, who had remained eerily still throughout the conversation. "We discovered something remarkable about Earth's evolution. Our planet wasn't just another life-bearing world. It was a sanctuary, created by the precursors before their disappearance. A place where they seeded the building blocks of their biotechnology into the very foundations of life itself. The implications hit the assembled aliens like a physical force. Earth, the backward planet they had dismissed as primitive, had been preserving and evolving the precursors' most advanced achievements for millions of years. The ships in orbit, Victor continued, they're not weapons. They're proof. We've begun reactivating other precursor installations throughout the galaxy. Installations that respond to Earth's resonance amplifiers, our animals. The Emperor's mask finally betrayed emotion, concern bordering on fear. Why reveal this now? Why risk everything by showing your hand? Because Victor's expression grew serious, we detected something else. Something that's been hiding in the dark spaces between galaxies. Something that the precursors were preparing for. And it's almost here. The chamber fell silent except for the low growls of Victor's bears, all except Shadow, who was still elsewhere in the facility, completing his vital mission. Through his neural link, Victor could feel Shadow's progress. The black bear had reached the facility's core, where the ancient precursor tech merged with modern alien engineering. The patterns they'd discovered in Earth's fossil record, the same patterns they'd found encoded in bear DNA, were proving to be exactly what they'd theorized, keys to unlocking humanity's true heritage. "We're not here to conquer," Victor said into the silence. "We're here to warn you. And to prepare. Earth isn't just another member of the galactic community, we're the caretakers of the precursor's final legacy. And we need your help to finish what they started." Above the city, the Earth ships began transmitting data, proof of everything Victor had claimed. Evidence of the approaching threat. Plans for cooperation and preparation. The war bears had never been weapons. They were keys, turned in locks that had waited millions of years to be opened. And now, as ancient systems stirred to life across the galaxy, the real challenge was about to begin. The Emperor looked from the bears to the data streams, then back to Victor. "How long do we have?" "Not long," Victor admitted. "That's why we had to accelerate our plans. The competition gave us cover to reach New Alexandria, but we've detected increased activity in the void. Whatever's out there, it knows we've started waking up the old systems." The bears growled in unison, responding to something only they could sense. Through their neural links, Victor felt it too, a distant tremor in the fabric of reality itself. The storm was coming. But this time, Earth wouldn't face it alone. As if to emphasize the point, Shadow's mission reached its completion. Deep beneath the arena, ancient machinery hummed to life, ready to serve its true purpose after eons of silence. The real war was about to begin. Unexpected allies. The great arena of New Alexandria had been transformed. Where once there were spectator stands, now stood banks of ancient technology, awakened by Shadow's activation of the precursor systems. The living metal walls no longer pretended to be mere construction material, instead flowing like liquid mercury as they reconfigured themselves according to their original programming. Victor stood in what had once been Emperor Jordak's private observation chamber, now converted into an emergency command center. His bears, reunited after Shadow's successful mission, formed a protective circle around a holographic projection of the galaxy. Dark spots in the projection marked areas where something was blocking the precursor's ancient scanning technology. The void creatures, the shifter explained, its form constantly rippling between different species as it studied the map. They exist in the spaces between normal spacetime. That's why we could never detect them before. But the bears can sense them, Victor added, watching as Arctic raised his massive head, tracking something invisible to everyone else. Their neural patterns resonate with the same frequencies the precursors used to monitor the void. Emperor Jordak, who had set aside his ceremonial mask in light of the crisis, leaned forward to study the projection. "How many of Earth's animals have this capability?" "Many of our predators show some sensitivity," Victor explained, "but bears are unique. Something about their evolution made them perfect biological quantum sensors. We think it has to do with their hibernation cycles. Their brains operate on multiple levels simultaneously, allowing them to perceive things that exist between normal states of reality." The chamber's door slid open, admitting Administrator Zex Lee along with representatives from various galactic powers. The Creation Empire's crystalline being entered last, its faceted surface now modified to interact with the awakened precursor technology. The Hive Collective offers its full cooperation, Zex Lee announced, skin flickering with urgent patterns. Their swarm technology may be adaptable to the precursor systems. And the Creation Empire. We have already begun converting our military vessels, the crystalline being vibrated. If these void creatures can be fought, we will fight them. Victor nodded appreciatively, but his attention was drawn to Shadow, who had moved to the edge of the holographic display. The black bear's extraordinary sensitivity had proven invaluable, and now he seemed to be detecting something new. Through their neural link, Victor received a series of impressions: darkness moving against darkness, shapes that hurt the mind to perceive, and a sense of ancient patience finally wearing thin. "They know we've detected them," Victor announced grimly. Shadow can sense their reaction. There. He never finished the sentence. The holographic display erupted with alerts as multiple void breaches appeared throughout the galaxy. The ancient precursor systems, newly awakened, screamed warnings in languages that had been dead for millions of years. By the first light, the shifter whispered, its form stabilizing into something ancient and terrible. "They're not just coming. They're already here." Emergency signals flooded in from a dozen worlds. The void creatures weren't launching a gradual invasion, they were emerging everywhere simultaneously, taking advantage of every shadow, every dark space, every moment of darkness to slip into normal space. Thunder, the grizzly, let out a roar that shook the chamber's walls. Through their neural links, Victor felt what the bear had sensed: the void creatures weren't just physical beings, they were living anomalies, gaps in reality itself that consumed everything they touched. This is why the precursors created the resonance network, Victor realized aloud. They weren't building an empire, they were building a defense grid. And Earth. Earth was their backup plan, the Emperor finished. A protected world where their biological technology could evolve naturally, becoming something even the void creatures couldn't predict or counter. The chamber's displays shifted, showing new data as Shadow interfaced more deeply with the precursor systems. Ancient star maps overlaid modern ones, revealing a pattern that had been hidden for millions of years. The apparently random distribution of Earth's ley lines, the mysterious magnetic anomalies that had puzzled scientists for centuries, all were part of a vast defensive network, with Earth's native life forms acting as living components. "We need to coordinate our response," the crystalline being announced. "Our ships are ready, but without guidance from the Earth animals, we cannot detect these creatures until it's too late." Victor turned to his bears, seeing in their eyes the same determination he felt. This was what they had been preparing for, what countless generations of evolution had been building toward. "We'll need more bears," he said. "And not just bears, wolves, big cats, all of Earth's predators with the right neural patterns. Every ship will need at least one resonance amplifier to detect and engage the void creatures." "Already done," announced a new voice. The chamber's main screen activated, showing the face of Earth's defense commander. "The moment you confirmed the precursor connection, we began mobilizing Project Guardian. Every major predator sanctuary on Earth has been converted to a training facility. The animals are being fitted with neural interfaces as we speak." The news brought hope, but Victor could feel through his neural link that Shadow had detected something else, something massive stirring in the darkness between galaxies. The void creatures emerging now were just the advanced scouts. The main force was still gathering. "How long do we have?" Emperor Jordak demanded, seeing the concern on Victor's face. "Hours, maybe days," Victor replied. "They're coordinating somehow, gathering their strength for a full invasion. But we have one advantage they don't expect." He turned to Thunder, the mighty grizzly who had demonstrated such raw power in the arena. "The bears aren't just sensors," Victor explained. "They're weapons. The precursors designed the resonance network to do more than detect, it can create quantum disruptions that tear void creatures apart. We just need to amplify the signal." The crystalline being's surface rippled with sudden understanding. The arena, it vibrated. "The entire facility is a massive amplifier." "Exactly," Victor confirmed. Shadow didn't just wake it up, he reconfigured it. New Alexandria isn't just the capital of the Vir Empire anymore. It's about to become the front line in a war that's been brewing for millions of years. As if in response to his words, the arena's living metal walls began to pulse with new energy. The precursor technology, guided by Shadow's unique connection to its original protocols, was transforming the entire complex into a vast resonance weapon. Through the chamber's windows, they could see void breaches beginning to appear in New Alexandria's sky, tiny tears in reality that leaked darkness into normal space. The void creatures were done hiding. Arctic, Thunder, and Titan moved to join Shadow at the holographic display, each bear adding its unique sensory input to the precursor systems. Through their combined neural links, Victor could feel the power building, ancient technology responding to patterns carried in bear DNA since before humans walked the earth. "Send word to the fleet," Emperor Jordak commanded. "All ships to battle stations. Priority is protecting the Earth transports, bringing in additional resonance amplifiers." Victor checked his neural tablet one last time. Across Earth, thousands of bears, wolves, and big cats were being prepared for war, their natural abilities about to be used for the purpose the precursors had encoded into their DNA millions of years ago. The real battle was about to begin, and humanity's most unlikely warriors would lead the charge. Shadow growled, detecting the first void creature attempting to breach the arena's defenses. The bears moved into formation, ready to demonstrate their true purpose, not as mere competition entries, but as the front line in a war for the survival of all reality. The storm had arrived. Earth's triumph. The skies above New Alexandria had turned to absolute darkness. Not the natural darkness of night, but something deeper, a void that seemed to consume light itself. The only illumination came from the transformed arena complex, its precursor technology pulsing with ancient power as it prepared for the coming battle. Victor stood with his bears in what had once been the arena floor, now transformed into a vast resonance chamber. The living metal walls had reconfigured themselves into complex geometric patterns that channeled and amplified the bear's natural quantum sensitivity. Shadow, still connected to the facility's core systems, let out a low growl that echoed with otherworldly harmonics. "Multiple breaches detected," announced the facility's AI, its voice now carrying undertones of the precursor programming Shadow had awakened. Void entities emerging in sectors 7 through 13. Through his neural link, Victor felt what the bears were sensing: reality itself was being torn apart as the void creatures forced their way into normal space. These weren't the small scout entities they detected earlier. These were the main invasion force, and they were massive. "All Earth transports have arrived," Emperor Jordak's voice came through the command channel. "The additional resonance amplifiers are being distributed to the fleet." Victor checked the status displays projected by his neural interface. Across the galaxy, thousands of Earth's predators were being integrated into alien warships: bears, wolves, lions, tigers, each species bringing its own unique sensitivity to the precursor frequencies. But New Alexandria, with its ancient amplification facility, would be the center of the defense. "They're coming," the shifter announced, its form rippling with agitation as it monitored the void breaches. "The pattern suggests." The shifter never finished its analysis. The very air seemed to tear open as the first of the void creatures emerged fully into normal space. It was enormous, a writhing mass of darkness that seemed to exist in more dimensions than the human mind could process. Where it touched the arena's protective fields, reality itself screamed in protest. Arctic was the first to respond. The polar bear's specialized neural patterns, evolved over millions of years in Earth's harshest environment, generated a quantum resonance that made the void creature recoil. Thunder and Titan joined in, their combined output amplified by the arena's precursor technology. But it was Shadow who delivered the killing blow. The black bear's extraordinary sensitivity allowed him to perceive the void creature's fundamental structure. Through their neural link, Victor felt Shadow identify the creature's weak point, a nexus where its extradimensional mass connected to normal space. The bears attacked in perfect coordination, their natural weapons now charged with precursor energy. Arctic's claws, enhanced by the resonance field, tore through the void creature's outer layers. Thunder's electromagnetic field generated disruption patterns that forced the entity to maintain a single-dimensional state. Titan's massive bulk, backed by the power of the amplification chamber, created a quantum shockwave that staggered the monster. Then Shadow struck. His claws, moving with impossible precision, severed the void creature's dimensional anchor point. The entity collapsed in on itself, imploding with a sound that existed more in the mind than in physical space. But there was no time to celebrate. More breaches were opening, larger than before. The void creatures had learned from their first loss and were adapting their attack strategy. Emperor, Victor called through the command channel, now would be a good time to activate the orbital defense grid. Above the city, the transformed alien warships moved into position. Each vessel now carried at least one Earth predator, their natural resonance abilities integrated into the ship's weapons systems. The void creatures emerged into a killing field of quantum disruption beams and dimensional anchor torpedoes. The battle that followed would be spoken of for generations to come. The void creatures fought with the accumulated knowledge of eons spent studying our reality from the outside. But Earth's predators, guided by patterns encoded in their DNA by the precursors, fought with the instincts honed by millions of years of evolution. In the command center, Emperor Jordak watched in awe as the bears coordinated the defense. Through their neural links, they provided targeting data to the fleet, identifying weak points that would have been invisible to normal sensors. The precursor technology, fully awakened and integrated with modern systems, performed exactly as its creators had intended. But the void creatures had one final card to play. As their forces were pushed back across the sector, a new breach began to form, larger than any before. The sensors built into New Alexandria's newly awakened systems registered power readings that went off the scale. "Something's coming through," the shifter warned, its form becoming increasingly unstable as it sensed the approaching entity. "Something old. Something that remembers the precursors." The breach expanded until it filled half the sky, and from it emerged a void creature of impossible size, a being that dwarfed the city itself. Its very presence began to warp the fabric of spacetime, threatening to tear New Alexandria apart at the quantum level. This is what the precursors feared, Victor realized, the knowledge coming through his neural link with Shadow. This is why they created the resonance network. This entity doesn't just exist in the void, it is the void, given consciousness and purpose. The bears responded to the threat instinctively, their neural patterns aligning in ways that the precursors could never have predicted. Millions of years of natural evolution had created something new, something beyond the original design. Shadow took the lead, his connection to the precursor systems deepening until he became one with the entire network. Arctic, Thunder, and Titan formed a triangle around him, their unique abilities combining to create a resonance field unlike anything seen before. Through their neural link, Victor felt Shadow's revelation: the void entity wasn't invulnerable. Like all creatures of chaos, it had a pattern. And patterns could be broken. "All ships," Victor commanded, "focus your resonance weapons on the coordinates we're transmitting. The bears have found its frequency." The combined fleet responded instantly. Thousands of Earth's predators, linked through the awakened precursor network, added their natural quantum sensitivity to the attack. The void entity found itself trapped in a web of resonance fields that forced it to exist in normal spacetime. In the arena, Shadow had completed his connection to the ancient systems. The entire facility thrummed with power as millions of years of preparation came to fruition. The bears moved in perfect synchronization, their natural weapons now charged with enough quantum energy to tear holes in reality itself. The void entity fought back, its power threatening to overwhelm even the combined might of the fleet and the precursor technology. But it had never faced anything like Earth's evolved predators, creatures that had developed naturally to sense and manipulate the quantum fabric of reality. The final battle lasted mere minutes, but to those who witnessed it, it seemed to stretch for an eternity. The bears, channeling power that the precursors themselves had never fully mastered, launched an assault on multiple dimensional levels simultaneously. Shadow, connected to both the ancient systems and the natural quantum sensitivity of his species, delivered the killing blow. The void entity's death cry resonated across dimensions, causing temporary disruptions in reality across half the galaxy. But when the quantum storms cleared, the void breaches were sealed. The invasion had been stopped. In the aftermath, as the fleet began the process of hunting down any remaining void creatures, Victor stood with his bears in the transformed arena. The precursor technology had changed them all, awakening abilities that had laid dormant in their DNA for millions of years. But they were still Earth's creatures, still the apex predators that had evolved naturally to become something extraordinary. Emperor Jordak approached, accompanied by representatives from every major galactic power. Earth's admission to the Galactic Council will be expedited, he announced. And we would request your assistance in establishing a permanent defense network using your unique resources. Victor smiled, reaching down to scratch behind Arctic's ears. The bear rumbled contentedly, despite having just helped save reality itself. Earth's predators have always been protectors, he said. Now they just have a bigger territory to guard. The galactic capital buzzed with activity as ships arrived from Earth, bringing more predators to be integrated into the defense network. The war bears had proven themselves to be more than anyone had imagined, not just weapons or sensors, but the key to awakening humanity's true heritage as guardians of the galaxy. Shadow growled softly, still sensing echoes of quantum disturbances in the void between spaces. The threat wasn't over, it might never be truly over. But Earth's predators would be ready, standing guard over reality itself with tooth and claw and powers evolved over millions of years. The galaxy would never again underestimate Earth or its creatures. The war bears had changed everything, fulfilling a destiny written in their DNA since before humans walked the Earth. And as Victor looked out over the transformed city, he knew that this was just the beginning. The real age of Earth's guardians had finally begun.